Marcia, the part that you were talking about, I had a real aha moment when you were saying the difference between, medicine and poison is the dosage. I feel really lucky that blessed, I don't know the word, that this situation that happened over the last couple of years, it did come to me as medicine, and it was extremely healing in some ways that even weren't extremely difficult. Right off the bat, I was given my family back. And being stuck in a house with my family and having the realization that we loved one another, and that and then you start hearing, oh my gosh, oh, so-and-so's, they're getting divorced, or like they're fighting, or like like there were a lot of families stuck in homes together. And immediately just having that blessing of like, oh my gosh, wow, I wouldn't have realized that, how lucky I am. And that was just one of them. And then of course there was the onslaught of extremely painful blessings as well. But it really was medicine. And I did witness people around me who were taking it in different doses. And maybe that means they were watching the news, or they were giving into the fear or whatever. And it did turn into a poison for them. And I'll yield the floor.
Well said.
Yeah, there's something to be said about where we all were at on like December of 2019, as an individual who has gone through human experiences with regards to the government or with the pharmaceutical industry that is got men with white coats, but they're no longer separate. They're one fused thing. Like the medical industry is the pharmaceutical industry. And I think that something that is going to become a part of everybody's awareness, like within the next few years, is that there's like this whole family of entheogenic plants that got shoved under a rug so that the pharmakia, whatever the Greek version of that word is, it literally was originally defined as the dark art, or the left hand art, or just black magic, and so we bring that forward to the idea that people are getting monoclonal antibodies that have cancerous pig cells in them. We're getting, vaccinations that have snake venom, peptide, snippets from the mRNA. These things were prophesied, and they were also symbolized in a sublime story where people were getting bit on the heel by a snake. Well, the snake in that story they were behind the people. They were chasing the people. Okay, so that's like a relative part of that story. Now, they're not chasing anybody down to put this stuff into people. They're literally obfuscating reality so that people feel coerced. They feel indirectly pressured. They feel directly pressured, or whatever the pressure. It's a pressure. They're not actually coming and holding you down and putting this in your body. But the media, like Heather just mentioned, there were people that went into 2020 with a need to become enraptured in the black art for a while. And that was their ordeal of power. And we all saw how there were going to be people that got injected with something and then had severe remorse later, whether they had symptoms or not. But they went through this personal feeling of letting themselves down, letting their family down, letting everybody down, because they got taken for a ride, and that they feel really, really like anybody would, almost like a Vietnam veteran would feel really horrible about actually getting sprayed by the rainbow, defoliant things from the sky, trying to deforest Vietnam. It's like that stuff sprayed everywhere. And you come back home and you have residual ongoing chronic issues from all of that. And you just feel taken advantage of. You feel remorse that you put yourself in the position to be taken advantage of. Whereas some of us, we had a little bit of a buffer. We had a little bit of an intuition, and we also had probably some ordeals of power, some experiences that ripped our ass raw, that we brought that memory with us into this. And so it's like the old adage that hopefully your parents said you, is like, fool you once, shame on them. If you get taken for a ride over and over and over and you feel that remorse over and over and over, that's shame all over your name. And so this is the whole concept where people need to give space for the fact that, that's their ordeal of power. And whether they get physical symptoms, it's already written kind of in, it's kind of like a manifestation that you take the shot, you have to deal with the issues afterwards. But that's where that tricky word repentance comes in every single way. People don't understand that word. They don't understand how to engage in that. And so we're going to watch all of these people take part in their own personal repentance after they've felt that remorse for making those decisions. And I'll yield the floor. Go ahead, Heather, if you have your hand up yet.
Oh no, I just forget how to put my hand back down.
Marcia, you want to segue us?
I just want to, put out there too that there are a lot of people that really do feel and still feel like they made the best choice for them, for their families. And it's important to respect that. And I think those of us who have been maligned, especially by the medical industry, we may be coming from an already I guess I want to say overly sensitized. I don't want to say desensitized. We're coming from like a raw place because we've already had our dance with pharmakia and we know what that feels like. And I can speak to myself personally that while it has not been a great ordeal of power, I have learned so much and become so much more attuned and sensitive to who I really am through the process of the separation. And I have to always remember that when I look at what has happened collectively over the last, year specifically, because it can be very challenging not to feel like, oh my gosh, like the people I love are being manipulated, they're being deceived. And yet, if I had not been manipulated and deceived, I would not have gotten to this place. And so I do have to always look at it from that lens as well.
Yeah, that's so much so important to respect and give space to everybody's path right now. I mean, we went into this trying to shake people awake because you just couldn't even fathom the idea. It's like, I can't even believe this. But as time went on, we had to actually, that's the way this is all going to go. And so there's a maturity that takes place inside of everybody, because the people who are not taking that path have to give space to the people that are, and that takes maturity. And the people that are taking this, fascist path, they're going to get their maturity in, I hate to say it, in a poison pill that, we all had to swallow the damn poison pills until we caught the message. And I always refer to that as the ordeal of power, that if there's a pendulum that swings towards wisdom and you can get it through grace, that's highest and best. But if the pendulum swings over and you got understanding over there, that's generally something that you can get through grace too. But just the whole concept of understanding means that you didn't make the choices that would have gave you the wisdom and pass that on through, experiences to make it actual knowledge and let it set through on your life path. Sometimes you actually have to have some understanding take place. And I think that anybody who went through the American school system, the public system, you understand how that works, because the kids who didn't do what they were told, they got reprimanded, and sometimes very harshly. They got separated, which is just a form of excommunication in a way, on a very micro abrasion level. But we went through that. And so we understand how you get groomed to react instead of respond. And so I just really appreciate everybody, coming to these groups and really speaking to how they're responding to all this bullshit instead of just reacting like it's catalyzing us to, and we're watching everybody else do. So definitely applause and much appreciation out there.